Famcast Media Podcast Network.
¿Cómo estamos, mi gente? Welcome to another edition of Lucha con Macho, and we have a very special guest today as Richie Mars, one of the most famous wrestling content creators on My God, bro, you are definitely one of the most popular. I wouldn't even say polarizing. I'm more polarizing. You, my friend, you are definitely popular. You have your fans out there. But I'm so happy to welcome you to the show, man. I'm excited to have you here. Can't wait to talk Wrestlemania with you, man. Why don't you tell people a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, thank you very much, Macho. Very kind words. I really do appreciate it. Richie Mars across social media platforms on TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube. And yeah, just talking about wrestling, going from, I always say the platform that I try to bridge the gap between the casuals and the hardcore fans. So like a little bit of everybody can understand what I'm talking about, because sometimes people like to do the insider lingo, the casual lingo. I'm like, yeah, we're a good shade of gray over here. And it's looking the business not from what I want to say, like my personal point of view, but I'm like, this is what the company is probably thinking of right now. And sometimes when looking at a hobby, I like to be, all right, Molly, okay, outside looking in, what would work best for their thing, and then I'll give my opinions on it and whether I think it's good or not.
Yeah, it's a very clear point of view. I mean, when I hear you, it's definitely a perspective that most wrestling fans don't take at all, and I really appreciate that about you, because it feels as if you are trying to, I don't want to say like dumb it down, but I feel like you're trying to make it so it's inclusive for everybody.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I know that there's a lot of terms out there that you can use that are like, bugaboo words. Like you can say something like woke or anything like that, but that's not really what you do. It does feel like you're really explaining it. It's almost like you just read an essay and you're like, okay, how can I, translate this to like the class? It does feel like you're like teaching as opposed to just, giving your opinion. And that's something I've always appreciated about the way you view the business.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, thank you. I always like it to be like a conversation, because I feel like a lot of videos in general, not just wrestling, just like any fandom, it's talking at an audience. You don't talk with the audience. And I feel like conversations, whether it's a viewpoint I agree with or disagree with, need to be had, because it's how you open up not only somebody else's perspective, but your own perspective. Because the minute that you stop having these conversations is the minute that you stop learning about things. And with wrestling, it's constantly evolving. So there's always new things to learn. There's always going to be something to talk about, where people are saying it's like, oh, you can't talk about WWE, AEW, independent wrestling. I'm like, oh, there's like a fountain of like everything. And there, like, I saw like a photo for the first time, like Eddie Guerrero and Undertaker had like a house show match. And I thought that was thought that was so dope. I was like, oh man, this is awesome. So there's always like new things to learn about.
Yeah, I agree with you wholeheartedly. I love when I see something that like we don't typically know happened, or it's something that a wrestler wanted to hold close to the vest, and then they decided like maybe this is the time to share that about themselves, because it gives us a new conversation to have. It gives us something else. Sometimes I feel like we only get like the toxic side of the business, and we don't to enjoy the business, right? Like we are about to go into one of the most like I'll use the word polarizing again, like times of year, because Wrestlemania is here, and just like last year at this time, the interest for the actual show was very low. It took the heel turn at the Chamber for everyone to rush to buy tickets, right? And that was like before then it was like, oh no, these tickets are too expensive. We can't do that. We're not going to skip a car payment. We're not going to do that, even though we know wrestling fans that will do stuff like that. And John Cena turns heel, and everybody's like, I got to be there. I got to see it. Like, am I going to see 17? Is it going to happen? I feel like that's something that's happened like with this year as well. And speaking of Mania, how about we just jump right back and like right into it? And first, let me ask you before we jump right into like the Mania talk, what do you think of WWE's like, turn in terms of like yesterday felt like everything was more real. Like it felt like a work shoot, right? Like whether it was Liv Morgan's like promo, her promo, which I felt was definitely going to be centered. It's going to be taken a certain way, right? It's definitely going to be taken a certain way. And then there was like, the CM Punk going back to like the Paul Bearer CM Punk, like when he feuded with like, and he used that, or the Jeff Hardy, like, promos, like he has done this before. And it does feel like they want that realism in the business, and they're hoping like, with the Rhea Ripley and Jade Cargill, which nobody knows, it does seem like insiders are completely on different sides, like PW Insider and the like, Meltzer's. They both have different opinions. One says it's a work, one says it's a shoot, and we don't know. And it does feel like they want to keep everyone guessing. But what did you think of their decision this harsh into these stories?
Well, now it's time to put up or shut up. We have about 7 weeks, and a lot of people forget with, including last year's WrestleMania, they push back Mania about 2 or 3 weeks than they would usually do, which means you have a lot more wiggle room to add more content. And that's a minimum of about 10, 11 hours of content that you have to fixate on. And with them taking that step into the more gritty side, the more grimy side of professional wrestling, I think it's good for us because we have things to talk about. Because I'm not sure about you, but there are some times where it's like a day would happen, I would have no ideas for video because it's just kind of, all right, it's like kind of paint by number stuff. I already talked about this once. I don't want to talk about it again. So now we're in this kind of, I don't want to say exciting period, but this eventful period where you have, Roman Punk, you have Liv Stephanie, you have Jade and Rhea, you have the kerfuffle of the WWE title scene on SmackDown. You have things where nobody knows what's happening. And I feel like that's uncomfortable with people because when you're watching the television, it's like, oh, I want to know what's going on. But now is the time where it's like, whether WWE is, it's like unplanned or planning, you're still watching, and that's probably the goal you want in WrestleMania season, because I know there's been a lot of WrestleMania seasons where they'll announce a match like 7-8 weeks out, and then you have to go through the build. Like, for example, last year, the Jey Uso Gunther build, a lot of people were saying like, oh gosh, this is first gear. And it wasn't until like a week or two before you got the Jimmy angle where Jimmy's busted open and Jay's like zip tied to the ropes, where you're like, okay, that's what we're looking for. But to like start off with this like grittiness almost with these rivalries and feuds going into Mania with matches that I don't think people necessarily thought were WrestleMania worthy, it's one way to get people talking. And I think it's a strong start if you're looking for discussion points going into WrestleMania in comparison to last year.
Yeah, I love that. I mean, why don't we jump right into one of the most like, intriguing stories, which it did feel like for some reason has taken a drastic turn as of yesterday. So the story I'm talking about, of course, is Liv Morgan and Stephanie Becker, because it feel like originally it was going to be a double turn. Like, I don't know if you got the sense of that as well, based on how wrestling legends from the past, like Big E Langston and Mickey James, had gone out of their way, all what it seems like all on their own to defend the fact that Liv Morgan had actually like really struggled to get into her spot. And, she'd been, sent back to like the bottom of the card, and she's in one group and then she's in another group. And, I mean, it did feel like they were trying to garner support for her, almost like sympathy, which she doesn't really need because she has one of the loudest fan bases in the business. But fast forward 2 weeks later, and now she's essentially saying everything that Stephanie had said in the promo is true. She was, she did have that extra, advantage of being in WWE since she was 20 years old. She didn't have to struggle. She didn't have to, go through different countries and different like areas to like get her name. She didn't have one special match like Stephanie did that put her on the map. She was already there in front of all these eyes, and fans have loved her from the beginning. I mean, what do you think about the context of all of this?
The one word that stuck out to me during this whole entire feud and saga was privilege. And with Liv Morgan, her promo yesterday was kind of this is a very niche like comparison, but if you ever watch 8 Mile, but instead of B Rabbit making that final rap of saying, "Hey, this is who I really am," and then dropping the mic, it's like if Papa Doc did it, saying, "Yeah, I am rich. Yeah, I do live in a great neighborhood." And even though that's not Liv Morgan's story, that's the story that they're portraying within this realm of WWE, being privileged to be a WWE star from a young age. And there were times where people wanted Liv Morgan to really succeed. Like, this is going back to the SmackDown Live where they were having that town hall and Liv Morgan got in tremendous pop. She got that match with Charlotte, and then she said, "Next time I'm coming back, I'm going to be real." And then we didn't see her for a while, I think, until like the Lana Bobby kind of story that happened. So I do like the direction of just Liv owning what Stephanie was saying. And that's the best way you could kind of play off it. Now, in terms of people like kind of being hard on Stephanie for what she said, I didn't find a problem with it, as a babyface, because it's like up to this point, Stephanie hasn't really, I don't want to say shown character. She hasn't been given the opportunity to show character. And I think that's been one of the detriments of her world championship run, because her match is very good, great, but you still need to find out more about that personality. And I know a couple of friends that I talk to, they're like, "Oh, the Devil's Kiss girl," and like, I'm trying to be like, yeah, there's so much more, but on TV, you can't really point to anything of like, this is who Stephanie is. And that promo you point to and you're like, whoa, okay. Now it's like, you could really like feel that emotion and intensity from her. And that's what I love about just this feud in general, because if you were to tell me a couple months ago, Stephanie versus Liv, Women's World Championship WrestleMania, it would get kind of like because it's like, where's Charlotte, where's Rhea, where's Becky, where's AJ, where's everything? But now you throw that in there, you throw the story on there, and you're like, oh yeah, I can see this, how it could be a WrestleMania match now. And of course, the things with Raquel too, it just adds another layer to it. And I think that's what we have in store for this entire buildup, is you're going to have these two polarizing viewpoints, and that's what wrestling is. It's two polarizing viewpoints and how people see the business. You have one who's WWE bred and trained, and then you have the other one who traveled the world in order to gain her craft and in order to be the best version of herself, and that's why WWE picked her up.
I mean, the one thing I really enjoyed about Stephanie's promo was the fact that she was able to convey that she did struggle without having to mention everything that Liv had essentially mentioned last night for her. Right? Like, it's almost like, the fact that you had to go through this means that you're beneath me. And I think that plays really well into the heel babyface dynamic. But the one thing that I do feel a little bit leery about, and like I would love to get your take on this, is we have seen Stephanie show us like a little bit of her personality when she had her interaction backstage with Roxanne, and like Roxanne calls her a curse word in Spanish. She calls her a pendeja, and then she gets really fired up by it. And then when Liv, she essentially, she called her like, a lady. She called her that in front of like 12,000 people, and she responded by slapping Dominic. Like, it seems like those trigger words get to her, right? And we see more personality from her. The only thing that I guess I find a little leery is that this promo, as you say, I agree with you, it showed like such a great side of Stephanie that we have yet to see. And it does feel like maybe it's because of the fact that it's the bilingual error. Like, it just kind of feels like people didn't take it the right way. And it does feel like people are going to come away wondering, like, is she this abrasive in Spanish all the time, as opposed to like just being herself, being real? Because I do want to point out that Stephanie, the majority of her career was being a heel.
Mm-hmm.
So it is different for her to come to this company, be brand new altogether, and then to be this massive baby face that's over, because she really is. It's more than just the devil's kiss. It's her entrance, it's her music, it's her, it's her aura, it's all of it. And I just wonder, do you think that maybe she'll be kind of forced to cut more promos in English after this?
Yeah, yes and no. With WWE, I think they prefer English promos, but we've seen it with Asuka where you can get over as a babyface or a heel without actually cutting promos in English. Like you could say certain words, but you don't need to do that in order to succeed. Now, I think WWE views Stephanie as when in comparison to Asuka in this point, when Asuka was signed, I think they were saying it's like, oh, she's going to be a good person to work against our favorites against. Where with Stephanie, it's more of, okay, she's not only a great worker, but now she's going to be one of our favorites, because right off the bat, Stephanie's first year within WWE was huge, blockbuster, probably the most. I think she's had like the most accomplishments in a calendar year than any other WWE women's wrestler, like 4 championships or something. And it just shows the faith that WWE has in her. Now, my only fear is that they might pull back on, the intensity a little bit. And I don't think that's the right move, because you need to have people that are separate from the pack. And with Stephanie, like you said, you have the aura, the physical charisma, you have the moveset, you have the total and complete package. And I feel like if you take away her voice, if you take away that's X-naying any emotion that you can get out of her. And with her using her native tongue, I think it's a good way to be like, even if I'm listening to the promo and I don't understand what she's saying, I can feel what she's feeling, depending on the inflection. And if you take that away, then even though the audience can't understand, but it's like now you're taking away that emotion, that emotional connection you could feel with Stephanie as a character. And that connection is going to take her far. I mean, she already has a connection, but if you take that away, then it's like it will slowly dissipate over time.
Yeah, I agree with you. I agree. So speaking of like fans getting involved, there's a pretty significant potential match that can make its way towards WrestleMania that could impact the entire first night, right? Like we already know that the main event of night 2 is Roman and Punk. So far up in the air, it kind of feels like, is Liv and Stephanie going to get that night 1 main event? Are Rhea and Jade going to come in and steal it now because they've gotten so much attention? Or are people going to play into the nostalgia, play into the legacy? And that's what we have, the potential of Cody versus Randy with this new matchup of Cody Rhodes getting the opportunity that he tried to earn multiple times, and it was almost being taken away from him. Do you think there's more intrigue for Cody chasing the championship at WrestleMania against, someone like Drew in like a potential 4-way? Or do you think it's more important to have Cody win the title on Friday and then walk into Mania defending against, his one-time mentor?
I mean, they always say the money's in the chase, but the chase also has to have, stakes and obstacles that are enticing for the viewer to see. My opinion, Cody being champion after SummerSlam, like initially, like I was like, good, it tied the John story really well. I thought the move would have been, since Cody was filming Street Fighter, have Drew win it that SmackDown, and have that, next story right off the bat.
Really?
And,
Okay.
Yeah. So it's
Can
like,
you just elaborate on why you thought that was the move? Because that's an interesting thought. I would love to hear why you thought that was the move. Because
with Cody, he's going to be off filming Street Fighter for about like 6 weeks at that point, right?
Okay.
And then you're already building up to this ESPN WrestlePalooza pay-per-view. So why not have Drew, who's coming off of a victory over Randy, Jelly Roll, all that, win the title right off the bat, have him still have that feud with Randy since he didn't pin Randy. And then at WrestlePalooza, you could have Cody Rhodes, conquering hero, coming back, and then potentially win the title. And then you go off to Crown Jewel from there. And
I like that. That's a great theory, man.
Yeah.
Should give you some writer's credits
Yeah.
here.
So it's like it's one of those where I think the Cody Drew feud in practice I think would work well, right? You know, former tag champions, anointed
Yeah.
as chosen ones in different kind of walks of life. And with Cody, the problem with Cody as champion isn't what he's doing. It's that when he went to
Mm.
SmackDown, one, he
Mhm.
switched brands right off the bat. He was mainly a Raw guy. He went to SmackDown. That's not really an issue if you watch
Mm.
both shows. But
Yep.
then they didn't build up the rogues gallery for him. Batman can have the Joker. He can have Clayface. He can have Riddler. He
Yeah.
can have all these guys. But when Cody was like the champion, what heels
Yeah.
did you have? You had AJ, who people love, but he wasn't at
Mhm.
that spot at that time. You had Logan, and Logan's
Yeah.
Logan. You were trying to build Solo, and Solo's not the most enticing guy. You know what I mean? He is
Mhm.
funny though. I really do like that. But you got to build more heels, and Drew was the perfect guy, but he was just on the different
Mhm.
show, and
Yeah.
you didn't turn enough people heel at that point. And with Drew, the problem is that again, they're you're played the cards you're dealt with. The WrestlePalooza, fine,
Mhm.
like you get the win. Then you got Saturday night's main event, which wasn't supposed to be Saturday night's main event. It was supposed to be Drew and Jacob. So now you're kind of
Yeah.
like thrown into this multiple times where you're seeing Drew and Cody. And it seemed like
Mm.
in those matches, they were saving for the blow off. They were saving for the finale. And you could
Yeah.
tell like when a match is like, okay, this is a match to get us to the next match. And it felt like everything was just kind of thrown together. And with Cody now, he's in a point where I think he would be beneficial going into WrestleMania chasing, but at the
Mhm.
same time, it's kind of like, well, then it's like he's going to defeat Randy, Drew, and then it's going to seem like, oh, it's Super Cody, you know? So him winning the title, I almost might prefer because now it's like the focus can be on Cody and Randy because they've been telling that story for about 2 years now. You know, it's like if anywhere you
Yeah.
could blow it off, it's WrestleMania. You have Cody who took advantage of Randy during King of the Ring, and now you have Randy return to favor at Elimination Chamber. So both of them
Yeah.
are in this point where it's like there's no fracture yet, but you can kind of see the crack form. But the question is,
Mhm.
who's going to be the one to go over the line?
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with you. I just want to touch on some of the things you said. I agree with you on so much of that. I really feel like it's actually hurt Cody at the fact that WWE didn't capitalize on what he was doing with Solo.
Mhm.
Because I am of the mindset that I do think Solo can be a main eventer. I don't think he's like too I don't look at him as somebody who's like a mid card guy who's just given this spot. I actually look at him as someone that he was built by bloodline. He was supposed to be the next guy. And a lot of when I watch Solo, I feel like they took his momentum and they gave it to Jay because of the whole Yeet thing. And like
Mhm.
I love Jay, but I do feel like Solo moving to the world title picture, like regularly, potentially winning Money in the Bank, being like in the finals of the King of the Ring, whatever they were going to do, if they would have done that for Solo, Cody gets the credit for that because Roman didn't do that.
Mhm.
Because Roman comes back, he takes the Ulafala back, and then Solo's kind of left whatever, but Cody's the guy that gets Solo into that spot.
Mhm.
Then we're like, oh wow, like here we go. We have a new guy. And I do wonder, everything you're saying about Drew, do you think that Kevin Owens' neck injury is why Drew got sent to SmackDown as opposed to them actually capitalizing and putting the title on Owens? Because
Mhm.
it does feel like the best feud that Cody's had to date is Kevin
Mhm.
Owens.
I do have a tinfoil hat theory that it was supposed to be Cody and Randy in that spot, but because Randy and Gunther had that funky finish at the King of the Ring that year,
Okay.
that they wanted to pay off Randy and Gunther at that. It was that Clash show, I believe.
Okay.
And then they said, well, Kevin's been aligned with Cody, so we'll put Kevin in there.
Mm.
So I think it was always supposed to be Randy in that spot, but
Yeah.
you got Kevin in there, so why not utilize Kevin? And I still think Kevin would have been a good choice to like temporarily win it off Cody. I think him doing at Saturday night's main event, where I was lucky to be in attendance for that one, The package pile driver. That would have been probably the move. Like, he was kind of champion. He was holding the Winged Eagle, which is probably one of the most beautiful belts that we've seen. So he was like kind of champion, but kind of not champion. It was more of like a pride thing.
Mm-hmm.
So like that would probably been the time to do it. But again, you had WWE saying it's like, well, we're saving Cena. It's like you don't want Cody to lose before Cena. So again, it's just one of those things about timing.
Yeah, I agree with you. I do feel like not building Cody's potential, like you said, Rogues Gallery. Like, man, do you feel like that's what's happening with Drew right now? Because like Drew's problems with everyone, and it almost feels like if they would have figured out a way to do this with Cody, almost like having everybody go at Cody, that I don't think we hit that low. I think if they capitalize on it like right away, where it's like, oh, you're the champ now, Roman doesn't have the title, we're not going to let you hold it now for a year. We're coming for that championship, and then you have him like actually vanquish these people. Do you feel like maybe they're fixing that mistake with Drew right now, and then hoping that Cody can take that momentum and move into potentially a future feud with like Braun Breaker or something like that?
Yeah, with Drew, I think how they're portraying Drew is perfect right now, because you're having everybody not only trying to get at him from a personal standpoint, but for the championship as well. And that's what was missing with Cody, and to a certain extent John, when he was champion, because it felt more like a revolving door of challengers than multiple people wanting to be champion. It was just like, all right, I'm going to wait my turn. Oh, Randy, it's next show's in St. Louis. Okay, you can get it. Oh, Punk, you're going to be the next guy. Okay, you can get it. Oh, Cody, you won King of the Ring. All right, since you won King of the Ring, I guess no one else wants a challenge. Again, a lot of that's like date wise, because Cena had like 36 dates, but at the same time, you got to feel like there's like constant like movement. When Rock was champion, he was never champion for that long, but there's like multiple stories about him being champion and the target consistently being on his back. Like, I think they built like a whole Unforgiven show just based on like Taker, Kane, and Benoit just trying to get at him. And like, that's what's happening with Drew, and it's happening at, right place, right guy, wrong time, because it's Mania season. And we're in that point where it's like kind of like that transitional, like Kurt Angle WWF championship run from 2000 to 2001, where it's like, all right, we're getting Rock and Austin. You know what I mean? So it's like Angle is going to hold the title, but he's not going to be the focus, and then he gets his match the week before, with Benoit, So it's just how the cards are dealt currently. And a lot of that has to do with, injuries and just planning in general, because the WrestleMania card has been shuffled so much. And I think a lot of that hinges on one guy, whether or not they're going to be ready to compete. And that's going to fill out the rest of the card. I think that's why the Brock Lesnar Open Challenge is staying an open challenge, because they're not sure who's going to be the one to challenge Brock Lesnar.
Yeah. I mean, I don't even have any theories as to who it could be, because it does seem like WWE made it. Maybe they like leaked the information that they know the fans want Obafemi, right? And as long as Oba gets that win, I think fans will be happy. But if he goes out there and he becomes another victim of Brock Lesnar, I don't really like. I don't think that's good. I was hoping that Cody would be outside of the title picture, because I feel like his like the night after Mania, I feel like would have been like a brand new chapter for him, right? Like all that we had heard where it was like, we're going to get a new edgier Cody, had made me think, are we going to get like the American Nightmare from Ring of Honor? Are we going to get the American Nightmare from TNA? Are we going to get like, are we going to get Bullet Club, like American Nightmare? Like, is that what we're getting? Because I think I've said before in like DMs on TikTok and stuff, like I do feel like his American Nightmare character is kind of neutered. Like, they don't really give him leeway. And it does, like, you listen to Punk's promo last night, you listen to so many promos in the like recently, everybody's allowed to say whatever they want except for Cody. He's got to be like, kissing baby, shaking hands. Like, he's got to be this.
I mean, he did call Drew McIntyre a couple names that they had to censor a little bit.
Yeah.
But it's like that's like the bare minimum because WWE works kind of like as the Justice League or the Avengers. You know what I mean? You're going to have people in archetypes, and Cody is in that Captain America, Superman archetype. And until there's another person that is able to fill that role, Cody's just going to be that guy, much like how John was. And this is not to say that Cody's not going to turn heel before then. It's just like, again, the WWE needs that guy who's going to be that Superman Captain America guy. It's a reason why Vince flew to Cody's house in order to get him because he realized he didn't have anybody who could fill that archetype. You had Roman, you had Seth, and they held down the fort well, but they just weren't in that position to be that, American hero that WWE loves to portray. And with Cody, right place, right time, made the jump, and it's going to be pros and cons. Pros, going to be tremendously popular. You're going to hear some boos, you're going to hear some jeers, but overall, it's not going to impact how people are going to see him because he is still fairly popular, even though he endorses Wheatley American vodka, which I'm not sure if it's like a babyface thing because Hogan had the milk. I'm not sure how vodka compares to that, but he's going to be that brand ambassador, and it's a tough job to do. But until WWE feels comfortable and confident to put somebody else in that position, Cody's just going to have to fill that void, and it's a bitter pill to swallow because we've seen him in like Ring of Honor, New Japan, like the Bullet Club Civil War story is one of my favorite storylines of all time. The Bullet Club is fine, and like Cody trying to make this division happen and then seeing the light and being elite once again. But again, you need to have that person built. And I feel like a good choice, and this might be too early to tell if he does work out, he's still developing. I feel like Miles Bourne would be a perfect person to be in that role.
Oh man, he's gonna bring a completely different fan base too.
Yeah,
like that. Like there are gonna be people from like ASL, like that entire fan base following him. He's gonna be an inspiration to everyone. Like, hey, this is something that you can overcome. It doesn't have to be a detriment. You can use it to your advantage. Like he's a big deal. I agree with you there.
Yeah, like I picture him as like. It's what WWE would have in mind if like Randy Orton when he was young was like the straight and narrow mind, like if like 04 to 06 he was like just tunnel vision, I'm gonna be the guy, and then of course he had his issues, but it's like Miles Bourne is like that guy where it's like we're to put him in this position, he's gonna excel just like that.
Yeah, I think dealing with like his own personal struggles and then having a great partner in Stephanie outside, someone who's also dealt with like adversity and struggles. Like I think that both of them, they're probably like it's probably a really good bond, and they're both able to keep, like you said, tunnel vision on. I wonder, like, before we move on to the next topic, I do want to bring up something, since you mentioned a Hulk Hogan like milk, right? And you talk about the Wheatley. I've thought about this a lot, and I've never put this in a video, but so this will be like a debut like thought, that I'd love to hear from you. Is like, do you feel like WWE is afraid to replicate WrestleMania 6? Right? Because we've heard the story where Hogan said he didn't think the crowd was ready. And everybody thought that doesn't work. And this was way before that became a thing, right? Because that was more like a WCW Hogan thing. And he says it, and like I've gone back and watched it. He's not lying. Like he's leaving, and you got Warrior celebrating, and the crowd is like, "What, Hogan? Like Hogan's leaving? Like that sucks. Like what does this mean for our guy?" Do you feel like that's what they're afraid to do? Like right now they feel like they have their Hulk Hogan of this era, and there's just like, they don't want to just give into like, oh, you know what, there's the next guy, right? Because I look at United as like the Macho Man of this era. WWE never really treated him like the top guy, even though he was the best wrestler in the company at the time, and he was the top, like he was just so good, and he was like, guys like myself, like he was one of my favorites, but he was never Hogan, right? He was never gonna be Hogan.
Yeah.
And that's how I kind of look at LA Knight. And I think he was kind of like a loose cannon as well, right? And I do think LA Knight probably like the Unreal thing, I think was done to kind of let fans know, like, we can't always depend on him doing what we ask him to do,
Mm-hmm.
right? What I some of that stuff is a work and some of it's a shoot, but what do you think about that? About like them being afraid of replicating WrestleMania 6?
I think with WWE, especially now, it's about, are we leaving money on the table? Because once we anoint one guy, fans are going to say, it's like, no, we're not ready to let this guy go. Or we're not going to be ready for this guy to take on the responsibilities of the previous guy. Because with John Cena, when he left, he was the guy, like no ifs, ands, or buts. Like for like a decade plus, he was the guy that WWE put all their eggs in one basket. And it wasn't until Roman came along where they're like, okay, we're going to start building Roman. But it's like once John was like, putting feelers in Hollywood 2014, 2015, you could kind of see the train coming where John's going to step on and we're not going to see him as much. And you're like, wait, John, it's like, how can I miss you if you never leave? It's like John is leaving. It's like, oh no, John's leaving. It's like, but you have Roman, and Roman, like compared to John when he was first being the guy, like head and shoulders, like wrestling wise and ring wise, already had it together. Like he already had it compared to John. But again, he was in a role where he didn't fit. It felt very much like Diesel in '94.
Yeah. That's a great reference there.
Yeah, and it's like, not saying it's like he wasn't popular, but he wasn't that in that role. And with Cody, it's, you still are printing money. You have Cody and Roman saying, oh, this last contract I'm going to sign is going to be my last. But that's more of like, power play where it's like, their role. It's like, hey, look, it's like, even though we're in our 40s, we could still go. We could still go. You guys still need us to a certain extent. And to answer your question, like, I feel like if Cody faced off against like a Braun Breaker or a Javon Evans, Miles Bourne, you could do that WrestleMania thing, hypothetically with WrestleMania 6. But it comes at a point where it's like, all right, he just beat the top guy. What other obstacles do we have for them?
Yeah.
Because
I agree. There was nothing for Warrior. There was nothing after that. When it happened, it was almost like they were like, this is our guy, and they had no idea that he was just a complete burnout.
This might be an odd comparison, but Chris Statlander, right, defeats Tony Storm for the championship. Then right after pay-per-view, after defeats Tony again, and then Mercedes, like back to back. What else does she have left to do?
I never fully agreed with her going through that, like Murderer's Row right away. I was just like, it just, because I felt like it took so much away from her. Like, I feel like she would still be doing well. I understand the logic behind not giving Mercedes the title. But to me, it's like, man, Chris is like, she's an underdog. Like that's what she is. She's not supposed to be like, well, what's happening with her in Thekla right now? Makes sense. But yeah, I agree with you. I like that. I like that comparison. It's not too wonky and stuff like that. Since you bring up women's wrestling, why don't we jump back into like that side of the table? And this weekend, Rhea Ripley surprised many by, well, maybe not the fans that were haters, but I will say that without naming names on here, maybe there might be this rumor out there that Tiffany was the supposed winner, but maybe WWE is a little unhappy with her social media activity and her interviews. There's word that Tiffany might have had this win taken away from her based on her her boyfriend's social media activity, like this is my new guy, and being so enthralled in that, and then calling out the women's division for not catching her with dives, and then also calling out creative, which she's not Roman. If he calls out creative, it's completely different, but her calling out creative for kind of making her stagnant, like it because I do wonder, there is one part of Jade Cargill's like tweet where it did feel like she might be telling the truth, which is like Rhea was the second option. I think Tiffany was the first option. They wanted to redeem it, but she kind of took it away from herself. But What was your thought when Rhea actually won the Elimination Chamber?
So I put out a video and I just said, I'm like, look, if you're a Rhea Ripley fan, I wouldn't be too excited yet because she still has the tag titles with EO. And I think I DM'd you. I'm just like, get ready for that Bella's interference in the
Oh my
chamber.
god! No, I was so happy when they lost the titles, man.
I'm mentally preparing for it. It's gonna be great. Because initially I thought Jade versus Alexa and Charlotte was gonna be the way to go. Cause it's like the story kind of fits right now, but now I'm looking more and I'm like, oh, what's next for Charlexa? Are they going to go with like Julia and Kiana or anything like that? But when Rhea won, I was like, yeah, makes sense. You know, she's arguably the biggest star within the chamber match itself. And it's a match we haven't seen before between Rhea and Jade, you know, and it's unique always having two powerhouse like wrestlers, pretty much go head to head. I don't think we've really seen that at a WrestleMania before. At least
definitely not in the women's.
Yeah, so like I'm very intrigued by it, and of course, the social media stuff happens, and with the whole, it's like because initially when I read Rhea's like tweet, because I think she tweeted at like an interview that Jade was doing, it's like, oh, all you do is talk, and that's all you do, which I'm like, that makes reference to like, Jade hasn't defended her title as much, which again, you don't put on Jade, you put on creative. Are they trying to protect her, or is it just like how they're trying to write, because the SmackDown women's division is pretty, I don't want to say thin, but in that main title picture is thin, considering that you have all these women in tag teams now, which is great for the women's tag team division. It's the most stacked that it's ever been, but it's going to come at a cost, and that's going to be with Jade and to a certain extent Stephanie Vicaire. But when Jade brought up, it's like, oh, talk like you do to creative. For me, I was a little not confused, but like, because Rhea is in a high position in WWE, arguably the top woman of WWE, but like the timing of it was like a little off in my opinion, because Rhea spent the entirety of last year, she was champion for a little bit of that, but she wasn't really in the bulk of that world heavyweight or world championship division. So it was just like the timing of it was like a little odd, where I'm like, okay. And then you had Chelsea and Piper speak on it. And again, it's one of those where it's like, if it's a work or if it's a shoot, personally, I don't care that much. Just make it an engaging story, because you have a lot of talent here. You have Rhea, you have Jade. They all bring their attributes to the table. They can craft a great story. I don't want it to be like a repeat of Charlotte and Tiffany, where the personal digs are overshadowing how talented these two are. And that's like my big fear. I'm just like, I don't want this to become another Tiffany and Charlotte, but it did give us that Barbie entrance with Tiffany, so I guess I could kind of let it slide a little bit. But again, it's one of those where I want the work and the story to be the main focus, not everybody's personal lives.
I agree. I do think it was interesting, because all we've ever heard about Rhea, right, is how much people love her. And she's like every young wrestler's like dream match. Like, oh, that's who I want when I come to the main roster, whether it's been Stephanie or Julia, right? It's like Chelsea talks about how she wants a world title feud with Rhea Ripley. That would be like her swan song. Like, we've heard this. Chelsea says she's the best wrestler in the world, man or female. Like, that's just how she feels. And there's a lot of people that agree with that. I mean, I've said in multiple videos, I think the only person that's top over her in the business is Roman. Like, I feel like Rhea is that, and I feel like, even guys like Cody agree with that, because they make reference to it. Like, she's that popular, like she's that big, and she's awesome in the ring. I was excited about this because of what I said in the video, in one of the videos I posted the other day. Like, I felt like Jay's been lobbying for this match since before she got the job. Like, she has been asking, like, oh, I want to wrestle Ripley, right? Like, this is who I want. And I was like, okay, here we go. We got another person. And then I also feel like nobody on the roster is going to sell for Jade the way Rhea's going to do that. Like, she's like Mr. Perfect. Yeah. She's going to go out there. She's going to take these bumps, and it's going to look like she's just completely injured. And it's just how beautifully she sells, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I thought this was like a huge win for Jade, and also not like I'm going to make this a prediction podcast, but I do feel like Rhea's going to put her over at Mania because I don't think Rhea is who they intend to be the winner. I think it's meant to be Bianca waiting for her injury. That's what everybody wants to see. So I don't know. I don't really understand the creative dig. I everything else is fine. Like everything else, I don't really feel like it, and I do kind of feel like there's a little work shoot thing in here, and I don't think we're gonna hit that Charlotte Tiffany thing because I don't know. I mean, unless they work it into Unreal Season 3, like if that's the objective of this, right? It does feel like I just don't think Rhea. I don't want to say anything negative about her because I just she's just such an inspiration with mental health, and her anxiety and stuff.
Yeah.
But I don't feel like she would have been as even keeled as she was in that promo yesterday. I think she would have probably had to be off till like Friday. If I think she would have had to come out Friday, and yesterday would probably just be an EO promo. And that's what kind of makes me think like, I don't know, a lot of this could just be a work. I think as much as I hate it, Meltzer might be right. This could just be a big work.
Right. Yeah, I'm still I wouldn't say 50-50. I'm more like 75-25 in the real category, just because when Rhea's husband, reposts it.
Yeah.
And it's like, I don't think they'd blur that line between AEW and WWE, because we saw with the belt swap with Charlotte and Becky, Andrade, who was married to Charlotte at the time, who was a part of AEW, said FWWE, and it worked for him. He's having the run of his career, and I'm so happy for him. But it's tough because like we've heard some rumblings of Jade being difficult to work with,
dating back to her being in AEW.
Yeah, and again, it's two walks of life. She got it. She was I believe she was recruited by Mark Henry, if I'm mistaken. I know she was primarily a student from the Nightmare Factory, so she's good politically, with Cody, Ricky, Brian Punk, all those guys who like hold her in high regard.
Yeah.
And the thing is with Jade, her position in WWE is an important one. Not only is she was the first homegrown AEW star to sign with WWE with that first major signing, it's important in the way that it shows other AEW talent from that position saying it's like, okay, even though Jade came from AEW, WWE still put in the effort to make her a big star, even though she was green in the business. You know? So it's like, it's going to alleviate a lot of fears. And this is coming back because you and I have been watching wrestling for a while. There was like a whole thing with WWE and TNA where WWE would not hire any TNA people. Like, if you were in TNA, you're no good. Like, we're trying to get away from the independents. But now, AEW, different story. So now with Jade Cargill, my thing is like, if you have a personal issue with somebody at work, like, just settle at work. Social media is like one thing. And then it's like, again, now it's like the fans are involved. Who's right? Oh, this person's right. This person's right. And then it's like, it's people faction. It's like people get into factions and then they fight amongst themselves. And it doesn't do any right by anybody. It's just fighting for the sake of fighting, when the focus should be on let these two not only perform the story, but let both of them look better than they did going into the story. Like, that should be the primary goal of everything. And with Jade, this is her biggest match of her career, arguably. And that should be the focus. And I agree with you wholeheartedly. Rhea is probably the best seller that WWE has right now. She has the best DDT sell by a mile.
Oh my God. It's amazing.
It's like it looks like she's like a mannequin after she gets hit by one. It's amazing. But yeah, the focus should be on the match. The match should be the focus on everything. But again, people are going to react how they're going to react, and I can't control their social media because I don't want to. You know what I mean? It's going to be like a whole. It's going to be a whole thing. People are going to have their debates about it, but overall, it's just like, just work for the story, and then see what happens.
Yeah, I mean, before we move off topic, I just want to say about these two women, I am looking forward to this because personally, what one is good at, the other one is not.
Mhm.
And to me, that is huge, right? Like I said this earlier in a video, like Rhea Ripley's getting clapped right now in this. Like Jade looks like she's got her. Like she's got like it's kind of like Becky and Ronda on
Mhm.
social. Like that's what it reminds me of, where like Ronda wasn't up to task.
Mhm.
It wasn't her part of her like forte,
Yeah.
right? And I feel like this is something where like there was nothing that Becky could get from that other than Ronda's star power to get the main event,
Mhm.
right? Like
Yeah.
that's what she got from Ronda.
Mhm.
But in this, I feel like if WWE plays their cards right, it gets the best work of her career bell to bell, and Rhea gets to add to her already impressive like skill set because now she knows how to like maneuver through social media, and she knows how to use that to help enhance feuds, which is something that she hasn't really had before,
Yeah.
right? And I that's why I feel like this feud is so important. It's good for both of them, and
Mhm.
personally, for me, I love them both. I'm sure you've seen I make lots of content on both of these.
Mhm.
I defend Jade a lot because I feel like she has unnecessary haters. Same with Rhea, but
Yeah.
I just want to focus on that because I feel like they're both going to come out better from
Mhm.
this program.
I would.
You know,
Yeah. I wouldn't be surprised if this was one of the matches that aired on the first hour of ESPN2 or ESPN.
really.
Mm-hmm. Because you want to showcase the biggest stars there. And I feel like they're going to showcase what they feel like is the biggest match. So there's potential that could be one of the two world title matches. But for
Mhm.
the women, if you want to showcase the women, I feel like this one and either Liv or Steph could be one of the nights.
Mhm.
And it wouldn't surprise me if it's
Yeah.
this one.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. I just yeah, I'm just hoping that we get a really good program, and I definitely want to stress what you said because I don't want to replay of last year because I do feel like that promo with the 0-3 took like I don't think they recovered from that
Mm-hmm.
mentally, and I think it definitely hurt their matchups. Like that's probably the worst Charlotte WrestleMania match.
Mm-hmm.
Before that match, I always called her Mrs. WrestleMania. Like
Yeah.
that's kind of how I viewed her.
I'm usually in between that one or the one with Rhonda at 38 because I don't remember anything about that one.
I remember she booted the hell out of her head. I
Yeah,
thought
yeah,
she popped.
that was the only thing I
And
remember.
that was a shocking finish as well.
Yeah,
I did not. I mean, I never expected Ronda to lose.
yeah,
So that was kind of one of those things where it was like, whoa,
yeah.
you know, I was interesting. But speaking of losing,
Mhm.
let's talk about the Vision,
Oh,
who seems to have lost everything.
yeah.
Right? We have Seth Rollins, as you made reference to in your video. Great video, by the
Oh,
way.
thank you.
About maybe the potential of like the injury bug karma. You know, with Seth, them faking the injury, and now it's kind of riddled the group.
hmm
Braun Breaker sustains his first major injury.
hmm
Bronson Reed not too far away from his gruesome injury from War Games, and Austin Theory's been banged up here and there. It does feel like this group kind of like lost its way,
hmm
and after last night, I was very excited. I was all for it.
hmm
There's something I know a lot of people don't like it, but as I'm sure you can tell, I like things people don't like. I'm a big fan of Monday Night Rollins. I
hmm
love babyface Seth Rollins. I think
hmm
it's my favorite version of him. I just think he's a natural at it. I don't.
hmm
I think it's something because takes him out of his comfort zone because he
hmm
wants to be a heel, but I think
hmm
he's really good at being a face.
Yeah.
Like I liked Seth and Becky versus Lacey and Baron Corbin. I enjoyed that feud. I know not a lot of people did, whatever, but I did enjoy it. And watching him completely dismantle the Vision last night to me felt like I know we have on this slate maybe him and Logan,
hmm
but something tells me it's going to be him and Brock.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's
And
why.
what do you think?
That's why the open challenge thing kind of like took me out because I'm like, okay, they're not sure who they're throwing Brock at yet. Like I think with the LA Knight, like commandeering the ambulance gives me some hope. Where I'm like, all right, maybe he's gonna be the one that gets Brock. But again, the main picture, I'm like, Oba. But it's like you need to find that tie in a little bit. When it comes to the Vision, like I understand what WWE tried to do, but the thing is, like after the end of WrestleMania 41, they already planned out WrestleMania 42. It was going to be Seth versus Roman, and that was going to be like that's the end goal. You know what I mean? And obviously that didn't happen. The faking the injury thing, it didn't affect me personally because with me it was already like people were saying on like the Thursday before, it's like, oh, Seth's going to do like a fake injury angle.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay. So when it happened, like people are like, oh, I'm not sure if it's real or not. I'm just like, look, that's between all of them. I don't need to know. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like they could do what they want. It's their company. But again, the karma with the whole thing, like with the injury, like, yeah, if you want to say it's like karma, yeah. With Braun, his injury was mostly because it was a pre-existing hernia, and then he made it worse apparently. And I'm just like, ooh, that's not good. I'm like, well, at least we got Bronson. And then Bronson completely fluke bicep tear, too.
Oh, my God. That's so awful.
Bad.
Just a freak accident.
Yeah.
Sucks, man.
And now it's like, okay, now the primary feud is Seth and Paul. Where it's like, you have Logan. We did Seth and Logan at one of the WrestleManias, and it turned out fine. You have Theory, but again, you're still trying to build Theory. It's a shell of what it was originally intended to, but that's why when I alluded to earlier where WrestleMania hinges on one guy getting cleared, and that's Braun Breaker, because if Braun isn't cleared, we potentially don't get Oba Brock or Brock LA Knight. If Braun isn't cleared, we don't get Logan and Austin versus the Usos at WrestleMania. So you have a lot of things that are detriment on Braun Breaker being cleared or not. And this again, hot segment to start off Raw. I thought it was like really well done. Took him out of the comfort zone. But you got 7 weeks. And a lot of that is like determining, all right, is Braun going to come back? So it's hard to kill time while preparing what Seth is going to do.
Yeah. I mean, to me, and I see it going one of two ways. So I don't expect Braun Breaker back because to me, like I know you've seen my Trick Williams stuff. Like I talk about it. I mean, a lot. I've been talking about Oba for a while now, but Braun to me is the future. He's like the guy that's already been tapped. I think he's been given that like Roman spot, that John Cena spot. Like I think that's how they view him. And I think that's too important. Like you can't rush him back. So the way I look at it is if they're able to get Bunny, then tag him with Seth and just have them face Logan and Austin, because now you don't have the potential disaster of Logan Paul versus Bad Bunny, because two celebs out there. And I don't know how you feel about it, but every single time Logan has one of these impromptu Raw matches, they're not good.
No,
but when he has time, when he has time to plan his pay-per-views or his PLEs, to plan them, like, the way Rhonda called him out for, that he has the opportunity to do it, they're spectacular. Right. And he does work like these really good guys. Like he doesn't work just nobodies. Right. Like he's not, and to me, I feel like a tag match for Bunny and tagging with Seth just being like this, because the reason I see it going this way is because Seth has kind of been talking about Bunny a lot in his NFL stuff and his interviews. So it makes me think, like, is this the Easter egg? Is this, because I do look at things like that and I wonder, like, why are you so adamant? Like, I know his politics and stuff and, so I know that he already agrees with a lot of what Bunny agrees with, but it does feel like there's something more to him saying all this. Makes me feel like, oh, we're going to get like a tag match, or he's going to be in his corner,
Mhm.
whatever the case may be. It does make me feel like that's a better option than him versus Brock.
Yeah.
I'm not excited for Brock versus LA Knight because I read
Yeah.
Moxley's book, and
Yeah.
and I just there are two. He talks about both of these men in his book. He talks about LA Knight, yes, and he talks about how Lesnar didn't want to do anything,
Yeah.
right? So it makes, and I do feel like based on that book that LA Knight has the same kind of mentality that Mox
Yeah.
does,
Mhm.
and I don't know if that's going to rub Lesnar the wrong way, right?
Yeah.
So that's kind of one of those things. But I threw a lot at you there. But
Yeah.
go ahead.
The advantage
What's
that
yours?
the advantage that LA Knight would have in this scenario was Brock isn't preparing for a return to the octagon. You know what I mean? This was right before, you know, his UFC 200 match
Against Mark Hunt, yeah.
And so like there were going to be things working against Dean, and originally it was supposed to be Brock and Bray, but then Bray got hurt. And also Brock
Interesting.
Brock also didn't want to work Bray because he didn't want to do the supernatural stuff. Where I'm just like,
Okay.
I'm like, all right. And then we saw that again for WrestleMania 39 because Brock was supposed to be Bobby, and then it was going to be Brock and Bray. And then, yeah, I believe that's what I believe that was the plan. But yeah, I'm not looking forward to like Seth or Brock or Seth or Logan, because again, we saw that Mania, and plus it's like, what else can you do? You know, and like Brock, with this potentially being his last year to begin with, it's like you kind of want to you want to see him maximize whatever potential of a match for the next generation, whether it's a Gunther, whether it's a Obafemi. You want to elevate the next people. I thought it was pretty strange when Cody and LA Knight eliminated Brock, how they did. And I'm just like, all right, that's kind of strange. And then I was like, oh, LA Knight was positioned to face off against Brock at WrestleMania. So I'm like, okay. So again, with that, like the whole Vision stuff, as long as they get a little bit creative with it, and they have with the Masked Men, even it's like I'm very fatigued on Masked Men at this point.
Yeah.
Like Seth is an engaging character when he has a lot of odds stacked against him. He doesn't work well as like you said, he doesn't work well as like that Kingpin, like they were trying to make him in the Vision. Where I remember like Night After Mania or like Braun Breaker, it's like, oh, this is great. This is gonna be like Evolution, you know what I mean? And then it's gonna be like the Revolution because he's a revolutionary, you know. And then people go a little bit fantasy booked crazy, and we're all subjected to it sometimes. But again, with Seth, with his work with the Vision, he wasn't really doing anything. He would come out, do like the Triple H 03 promo, and then, you know, stand tall at the end. And that was Evolution 03 101. You know, we're going to stand tall at the end. Stand tall at the end. We had the fake out injury. All right, we're building some momentum. And then that shock with Braun spearing Seth. It's like, oh, now we got something. But now with Braun, I do agree they do want to protect Braun Breaker, at least the best they can. Again, it all kind of determines on what they feel like it's best to put a bow on this Vision story, because it hasn't worked out as well as probably anybody wanted it. And again, now you're having Logan and Austin kind of like being the bookends to this thing at this point.
Yeah.
And there are people who like Austin Theory. There are also people who don't see Austin Theory as that guy. And I don't blame them, because under the Triple H regime, Austin Theory has just been a non-factor. And whatever factor he was, I always point to him as, you could win matches against top guys, but if there's no follow-up, then you're just not going to be at a top position. Because in his second U.S. title run, you know, beat Cena, beat Edge, beat Ray, beat Sheamus, beat Bobby, beat Seth. And he's just like, again, it's just one of those things where it's like you could put him in with Seth, but just because they have history doesn't mean it's like it's going to connect with the audience if you don't believe in the guy.
Yeah.
And that's a big thing of this Vision story, which is unfortunate because it's about pushing the future. Now they could save it, I think, in my opinion, if there was like a gauntlet match type aspect to it. Because what if it was Seth has to face off against Austin, then face off against Logan, and then if he beats those two, he gets Paul in the ring.
Yeah.
And then when that happens, it's like Seth's getting ready for the stomp, and then you hear Braun Breaker sirens. And then you just have Braun spear him from behind, 1, 2, 3. You save Braun, and then you continue the story if that's what you so choose. Because it's still...
Doesn't that kind of like rehash CM Punk getting his hands on Paul, though?
A little bit, but I feel like time has gone a little bit past that a little bit, where it's like, that was like the Curtis Axel like deal, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's like about 13 years, I think they could reuse it for this one. Because it also makes sense that, like, you know, it's like, oh, Seth's got to get his revenge on Heyman at WrestleMania a year after they joined, and then Braun stops it, and then that continues the Seth Braun stuff. Because I would love their NXT match. So I think I want them to do, if Braun's not ready, you could at least have a small segment like that where it's like, all right, this is the next chapter. You know, then Backlash, you know, you could have that full match when both of them are on, like, you know, full potential.
Yeah, I like that. I like the theory of it. What does your mind tell you about the potential of Benito being inserted into this?
I would love it. I would hope that he would be down for it. I believe he doesn't have any dates between now and Mania. I'm not sure. Don't quote me on that. But I would like that tie-in. My only fear is it's like the Vision story is very personal, and adding that celebrity element might seem like a little bit, you know, not over the top, but it just kind of seems like, oh, okay, this is now a celebrity match. You know, it's kind of like,
yeah, agreed. Yeah,
it's kind of like Seth saying, it's like, all right, I need a tag partner, and then Jelly Roll comes out. But even though Bad Bunny is very talented, very, very, very talented. But I just like if it was like the Vision, like invading Bad Bunny's like house or anything like that, like something that's like a little bit outside. Like that would tie him into this rather than, oh, here's Bad Bunny. You know, I think that'd be perfectly fine.
Yeah, I agree. Speaking of factions, why don't we jump over to the Judgment Day as they officially lost the championship? I mean, this was a topic you requested personally. You wanted to talk about this, man, so you must have lots of thoughts on it. So we have a brand new Intercontinental Champion in Penta as he overcomes the odds with a little bit of help from Finn Balor
and Danhausen. You know, Danhausen got the curse option.
Yeah. I mean, he's cursed. Yeah, you got it.
The Judgment Day story is the one that has really helped my page a lot, because people, whether you think the Judgment Day has run its course or not, like I'm not going to argue there.
I love it.
Like the thing is, it's like people still love the Judgment Day. People love Dominic Mysterio. They love the infighting between him and Finn, and that's why it's gone as long as it did. Now, originally, I believe in Unreal was supposed to be Dom versus the Demon at SummerSlam last year. But since Dom got injured, they pushed the AJ match back to SummerSlam, which is good for me because I was live that night, so I got to see AJ and Dom.
Nice.
And then the Finn Balor, I always love like Finn Balor in solo situations, and babyface Finn Balor is one of my favorites, and I think his second NXT title run is probably one of the best reigns.
Yep.
Not just like NXT reigns, just reigns in general. Because just like the Prince, and now we're seeing like that division between Finn and the Judgment Day, but not just with Dom. Now it's with JD, and that adds like an interesting little wrinkle to it, I think.
Yeah.
And with Penta, it's one of those like the story about the title change is more about the Judgment Day than Penta. But with Penta, the story was already there because this was his like 7th or 8th time trying to get the IC title, and Penta super popular. Where it's like it's like the LA Knight thing. You gotta reward them on the journey, because if you don't get those victories, then it feels like we're just all our support is all for naught. And thankfully, like Penta's in that position. We had Javon saying, "I want the IC title," like during the commercial break. So I'm like, "Oh, we're in for a good one." And
Yeah, we are.
so I'm excited for that one too. I'm excited for the Judgment Day stuff because Dom, man, under the Triple H regime, I think he has had that's the star that Triple H has made.
Yes.
That's the guy that it's he took from zero to hero. And now he's
Agreed.
one of the most over things on WWE Raw. And he has the not Triple Mania, Rey de Reyes match with Vikingo. And also watch AAA. Love AAA. Everybody, if you don't watch AAA, you watch AAA because it's been immensely entertaining.
And it's free. It's on YouTube.
Yeah. I
just enjoy it. Taker runs a good program.
Yeah, it's the only show that I'm
shocked.
Apparently, Undertaker is very popular in Mexico. I didn't know this. This is for real.
Who would have thought his mind was that good for the business? Why not use him over here then? I mean, whatever. They're doing.
I don't want to jinx.
They need to help. Yeah,
but Dom has just improved leaps and bounds, and with Finn, again, the will they, won't they? The whole Rachel Ross thing of it all. Breakup is going to culminate to WrestleMania because it feels like last year we were going to see it, but then it's they held off on it. And one of my good friends, Ryan Gray, he hosts the North-South Wrestling Connection on YouTube. He had Ibu on for one of the prediction, if you know Ibu from
I know. Yeah. I mean, I don't know him personally.
So Ibu was on, but apparently it was supposed to be Dom and Liv as the baby faces against Roxanne and Finn for this WrestleMania. But that got switched with Liv's injury. So they just kind of I guess this is the make good. And Finn has been not resisting a babyface turn, but it's like the old Bret Hart story where Vince said, "I need to turn you heel." And Bret's like, "Why? I'm having a good run." And then he wrote all the baby faces and the heels on one side. And Bret's like, "Well, if I'm a heel, I'm working with all these guys. If I'm a babyface, I'm working with these guys." Yeah. It's kind of like the same story where Finn's kind of I guess I could turn babyface, but if I'm babyface and I'm under Roman, Cody, Punk, Rhea, all these babyfaces.
Kind of like Edge.
Yeah.
Want to leave the Judgment Day. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's kind of like that scenario.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree with you wholeheartedly. I feel like Dominic Mysterio, that's the greatest accomplishment in the Triple H era. I do think this version of Liv Morgan is a big accomplishment as well because she was missing that thing. Mm-hmm. There was something that was off about her, and whatever he did to her, Nick Aldis actually talks about it on CVV, where she figured out how to use the things that were afforded to her. That's just what she did. And plus, I feel like her using she's the GOAT at everything. Yeah. That's been a big part of her character, and I feel like Triple H did that. That was big for him too when he was the game. He was the best at everything.
Yeah.
Actually, he just made sure to tell you. He told you all the time, I'm the best at this. I'm the best on the mic. I'm the best in this ring. I'm the best champion. That's what she does, right? I do feel like that was really good. I do think this is not really giving credit to Triple H or to giving credit to anybody but maybe Dom. But I do feel like without I'm not trying to make fun of Rey Mysterio here, but I do feel like Rey hindered Dom in the sense that when Dom was with him, it was kind of like he's got to be a luchador, right? And when you watch him during COVID, right? When you watch him, he does a lot of flipping and he does a lot of the lucha stuff and a lot and listen, he can do it. I'm not saying he can't, but he looks so awkward doing it because he has 98 Edge's body.
Yeah, he's that bigger body
big.
type.
Yeah, and I feel like when I look at Dom, that's what I see is baby Edge. I see the Edge that comes out of the audience, the version of the professional wrestler that I see, and I love the fact that one, he got to work with Edge because I think that really helped him.
Yeah.
And that's kind of how I've always seen him. But I do feel like when he stopped doing the lucha stuff and just started going out there and, just it in, it changed a lot of his character as well.
Yeah.
You know, and I do like that. I love this version of him. I hope that Cody's right and that, you know, millions of people are paying money to go see Dom at the top of the card in the future, because that would be phenomenal.
I mean, they're doing that at
calls of Cody's career.
Yeah, I mean, they're doing that at AAA right now, so it's like that's a precursor for anything. Like Dom, like I put Dom in that category with Braun, Javon, Trick, Oba. Like those are the guys that's going to lead WWE into that.
Agreed. Yeah, I think this is the best crop we've had, and that's what makes me so excited about the future, because we didn't have this like with Roman. Like you said, Roman and Seth kind of held it down, but like you got to realize the era before them, it was the three of them. It was the Shield, and then there was like Bryan, and then there was Batista, there was Randy, there was Cena, there was like, you know, you had a lot of guys, a lot of dudes. We just kind of went to a two-man show for a while, where Roman was trying to make guys like Kevin Owens bigger. He was trying to make guys like Sammy bigger. Like they even tried with Matt Riddle, which I love that match, by the way. That SmackDown match is amazing.
Yeah, that's a good one.
But yeah, I do agree with you. I do feel like Dom is one of those guys that he never gets mentioned either. Like that's why I like the fact that a guy like Cody, who's at the top of where he's at, that he takes the time to mention him, because he really warrants it. But speaking of one of the guys that was you know, really tapped early, why don't we jump over to the Tribal Chief and the best in the world here? That was an interesting promo last. Speaking of you know, crossing the line or maybe blurring the lines, that was pretty good. I love the addition of like Zilla Fatu getting upset at the promo. I think that's a great inclusion of it. I do not at all believe that neither man, like, they knew what they were going to say. These two guys are way too professional to do something like that. And this version of Punk is so apologetic. Like, I'm sure he went backstage and checked to make sure Roman was okay. Like, I'm sure that that was definitely, he was probably waiting right behind Gorilla, like, are we good? You know what I mean? Like, that was too much. But first of all, I just want to get your honest takes. What do you think of the feud so far? What do you think of the two promos? And what are you looking forward to?
I thought both promos, and first one knocked it out of the park. The other one, I think, was like a strong, like, you know, ground rule double, triple, you know. I do like, and we were talking about this, I think, before they did the first promo, where it's just like, man, that's like the Colt Cabana podcast is like one of the catalysts that kind of had like not the biggest reason why fans turned on Roman, but it was a sizable reason, and was a sizable reason why CM Punk chants continued over the next like eons and started to haunt Roman and Seth. And what I like about this feud and how it differs from Punk and Seth is that Seth is like, I know you're still the same Punk. I know, and Punk's like, nah, it's like, Punk's like, no, I'm here. And Seth is like, he had this borderline obsession trying to prove that CM Punk is this guy that he's always been. You know, the guy who will take the below the belt shot, the guy who does what's best for himself. And with Roman, he's trying to play it cool, where it's just like, yeah, I allowed you back. They had to ask me. They had to come to me to make sure it was okay. But the thing is, with CM Punk and anything Punk does, it's always going to feature that below the belt shot that it's like, we're going to make it personal, whether you want it or not, because anything's fair game in my world. Like when he was Straight Edge Society, he purposely named Luke Gallows Joseph Mercury. He made Serena Deeb his Mary Magdalene. He like tried to make it very Christian-esque, like Jesus, like portraying himself in that Jesus-like role. He had people jump in the guardrail. I think he was the first one to use Jeff Hardy's substance issues in a main feud. He used
Samoa Joe still did it better though.
Yeah. That sometimes I'll watch that 2-minute video of Samoa Joe just sniping the entire field of Elimination Chamber. And I'm just like, oh god.
Yeah, amazing. Yeah.
But yeah, and then you had, him and Taker with the whole Paul Bearer stuff.
Mhm.
And this is what you have to do for Roman, because people are going to argue, no, he's not a babyface. Oh, he's a tweener. Or it's, oh, yes, he's a babyface. But with Roman, who's legitimately been the most dominant guy in WWE, you have to give him an obstacle. And the obstacle here is him being all alone.
Yes.
And that is the theme of the story that I love that they're harping on. Because if you remember at Crown Jewel, when he lost to Bronson Reed and the Usos cost him that, Roman said, they don't believe I can do this on my own anymore.
Yeah.
Which I thought was very interesting to hear, like during that loss.
Yeah.
And it's been building up to this moment where Roman has to get the final thing off his back. And that's the guy who caused everything up to this point.
Yes.
And it was an extremely great pivot to put him and Punk, not him and Cody, not him and Seth, but him and Punk was the right move and right decision. Not just for Roman, but for Punk as well. Because Punk has been accused of being like, a little bit, nice, since coming back, playing nice. Like he's Punk, but it's like, is he really CM Punk? Is he's just like kind of like doing this whole babyface thing? Is it great to be alive on Indianapolis on a Monday night or what? Doing the basically what do you want to talk about, version that he's doing. And with Punk, Roman's the guy who got him to hit below the belt first. And that's important to note. So now it's like they both think they won this promo exchange. Like Roman, I think, won the first one. With Punk, like people would say Punk won the second one. I think it's debatable, but I would lean it towards Punk because Punk made Roman stop talking. He made Roman not act at all. And that's what is the most important. Now, people are going to be like, oh, Roman's going to bring up Larry, and he probably will. But I don't want it to just be like that. I want those verbal things to sting. I want it to be like, this is as personal as it gets. Like the first promo was about it personal. Roman was trying to act. And the second one, like, if you didn't have the title, I wouldn't even like pay you a second glance. But I'm just kind of like,
well, I think that was the whole purpose of it.
Yeah. And it's like, that's the loser's bracket title, as he called it, but it's like around Punk, he's not looking at the loser's bracket. He's looking at that. This is the thing that you love the most. This is the run of your career. And this is kind of like the Punk's run of his career in terms of being the guy in WWE. There's a great,
for the last month, at least, because before January, that run looked pretty bad.
Yeah. Like, I did a video where it's like Punk and Jade didn't defend their title since winning it on the same show, but Jade got more of the backlash, which I thought was kind of strange because I'm just like, both of them haven't defended their title, and but with Punk, it's like he's trying to make up for lost time because this is the first and probably only time WWE is backing him as the guy. So Punk's like, I'm not gonna you're not gonna usurp my position as the guy. He's like, I'm just gonna do what somebody should have done. I'm gonna bury you. And it like I thought, like when he said "I'll bury," it's like I felt like it was kind of like it's kind of cringe. And then he did like the bury you next to your dad. I was like, oh, okay. And it's like that's a strong note to leave off on due to the fact that Roman's not going to appear next week. He's going to appear on 316. So
I think it's good. Yeah, but I think that's a big show. I think Austin's going to appear too.
Yeah, and another thing is, it's just like, not only did Punk say that, but how's the rest of the how are the Usos going to say that? Like, going to feel about that?
Well, Jay posted, on his IG, like he didn't really seem. I like the inclusion of it, but they got to stay away.
Yeah,
I think we are, and I don't think anybody's alluded to this, but you kind of made a reference to it while you were like going over it now. I think that the only way for Roman to beat Punk is we're gonna have to see a little big dog. Like, I think we're gonna have to go, but I would not be surprised if in the next couple weeks that with a shirt that says one versus all,
Mhm.
because that was his catchphrase before
Mhm.
Believe That, right?
Yeah.
And I feel like that's what's happening right now. That's what he did before.
Mhm.
It was him versus everybody, right? Like
Yeah.
when he beat Sheamus, he beat the Authority, he beat
Yeah.
for the title. The Usos came out to celebrate after.
Mhm.
He won Philly on his own, on his back.
Mhm.
Well, he was an awesome wrestler, by the
Yeah.
way, but like people just forget that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I feel like a little bit of Big Dog needs to, because he has to overcome that.
Mhm.
That's what hurt the Big Dog, which I
Mhm.
don't think was a bad character. I think guys like Santi are full of shit when they say stuff like that. But
No, I thought the Big Dog was fine. I thought it's more on WWE. They didn't know how to write the Big Dog. That's where
yeah,
I think my issue with the Big Dog, because I always thought Roman was like great, like wrestle wise, where it's just like I'm like he's far more advanced than Cena was at this point. And
yeah,
like you mentioned him going back to the Big Dog, like all this time it's been Roman running away from his past. Like what if
yes,
what if it's like his entrance for WrestleMania 42? It's like he has like the shield vest. It's like Tommy like putting on the Green Ranger suit, you know what I
oh my
mean? Where
god,
it's just like this iconic look where it's like here we go, and then he just takes it off. You know, it's just
yeah,
like I hate using the term cinema, but like with Roman, there's so much rich history, especially between them,
yeah,
that I feel like the Roman Reigns character needs to evolve, and it doesn't need to be like a
yeah,
babyface or a heel or anything like that. It just needs to evolve, and Punk is the perfect stepping stone for him to evolve.
yeah. I agree, because, and I do feel like people don't understand this. Then they just want Roman to pass the torch to Braun Breaker right
Mhm.
away. He can't pass the torch until he like accomplishes everything.
Mhm.
Like when Rocky came back,
Mhm.
right, to pass the torch to Cena, like Rocky had accomplished everything. He beat Austin at
Mhm.
19. That was his thing.
Yeah.
That's what he wanted to, that's what he needed to do. And then, he comes back years later and he does like this,
Mhm.
where it's like, all right, like we're gonna do this 3-year arc, and I'm gonna give you 3 years of my life, and
Mhm.
then ultimately you're gonna be the winner. I'm gonna raise your hand at the top of the ramp, and that's what they did. And two amazing matches, by the way. Like people can argue with their grandmothers. I love those matches, and that's kind of how I feel like Roman has to overcome Punk, and he has to beat Seth, because he's yet to do it.
Mhm. Mhm.
Those are two things he has to do.
Yeah.
And then once he's done that, he's done it all. That would be everything.
Mhm.
There wouldn't be anything left for him to do. Then he can officially pass the torch to a guy like
Yeah.
Breaker.
Again, this is more inside baseball, but with Roman's contract coming up this year, he says he has another year or
Mhm.
two. So hypothetically, he signs. I think him and Seth SummerSlam would probably make sense.
Mhm.
43. Apparently, they have a deal for The Rock at 43, so you could do Rock and Roman there if you really wanted to.
Well, if he beats
Yeah.
Rocky,
Mhm.
that would be okay.
Yeah,
Is that like if he takes that? But the thing is, I think he needs to take the title with him.
yeah. That
I don't think.
yeah, yes and no. It kind of just depends on the scenario. Like again, The Rock has to have a reason to fight Roman. That's another thing. Uh,
It's a
but again,
championship. He's never won. So yeah.
yeah, yeah, man. It, again, the final boss character is such a fun character to write for. It just
Yeah.
depends on again the scenario, and of course, like I'm sure Cody wants Cody Roman 3. I'm not sure if Roman wants Cody Roman 3, but it's like it's one of those like the first two matches I think were really good. I prefer the first over the second. That might be a hot take.
Yeah.
But
No, I agree.
but
I thought it was. Yeah, I thought the first one was better.
yeah,
Yeah.
like in ring wise at least. But I like this is the stage of Roman where he has to do this by himself. And no Paul
Yeah.
Heyman, no anything. And the thing that I like about this is like Punk said that to him, and now he has to deal with these emotions by himself. When before
Agreed.
it's like, wise man, what do I do? Or just like taking it out on the Usos or Sammy or anything like that. And that's what I love
Mhm.
about this story is just like, Punk has one view where it's like, he's his promos haven't been like out of this world. in my opinion, with the whole Roman stuff, because it's like
No.
it's stuff we heard before. It's like, oh, you could tweet that from your house, but you're not here. It's like, oh, so, like they're arguing about figures and attendance and things like that. You could sell, like, we brought you back to sell out Chicago every once in a while, but now that we got like all that preliminary stuff out of the way,
Yeah.
now let's get to the meat and potatoes of the whole thing, because we do have a great issue here, and I just
like I'm. No, I was gonna say I don't know why they're not bringing up the main event stuff. Like Punk brought it up, and I'm just like, I don't know, man. Like I feel like you didn't main event when you were champ. You didn't even main event in your hometown. Like that's a big deal.
Yeah, that it's again, it's what people qualify as a main event, because in WWE they qualify main event as many different things.
I agree with that, but it's also like what I alluded to this morning, where like Punk told us that the main event is the last match. It's him saying it. It's kind of like the Chris Hero thing, like when he said yesterday, like not really how I remember it, bro. You told us you're the you're the source. like we didn't hear that from Meltzer. We heard it from you.
Yeah.
You told us that, like, that you wanted Hero, which is wild. Out of everybody, you picked Chris Hero. That guy was a dick when I met him.
Oh, really? It's the rolling elbows, man. You roll one good elbow.
Yeah. I just met him when he was feuding with Bryan during CZW. It wasn't very nice. And he was the babyface. It was just like, what the hell?
I find that always the case, where it's like the babyfaces are the jerks, the heels are the nice guys.
Oh, dude, he's amazing. Yeah. Every time I've met Bryan, every time I've talked to him, he's been amazing. Yeah. Same with the Briscoes, The Briscoes were just
I bet
beautiful people.
Yeah. But again, the whole like Punk and Roman stuff, where it's just like I feel like with Punk, he kind of went backwards in his old points, and like trying to, for lack of a better term, little brother Roman, where it's like, it's like, dude, it's like once you left, Roman like surpass you. Granted, he had the whole machine behind him, but now it's kind of like I want this to be like the corporate CM Punk, you know what I mean? Where it's just like,
yes,
he got that little taste of power now that the company's behind him, and he's like, we don't need you anymore. They're doing everything I ask now, because originally he said, like, with the pipe bomb, like he framed it as opportunities for everybody in the back. But like when he turned heel, he was like, "No, this was all for me. This was about me getting ahead." It's like kind of like get that more arrogant Punk going. Now we're seeing like all these like true colors like kind of feel out a little bit. And I believe Roman is making all but 2 appearances for Raw. So So it's like they have this week kind of as a breather week. You could do like a CM Punk Jay face off if you really wanted to. I don't necessarily think that's like that could be like a decent holdover, and then like the next week you have Punk and Jay maybe, and then like you have Roman attack like Punk at the end of the match or something like that, or anything like that. But again, it's like it's kind of like a game of chicken, where it's like you're wondering who's going to make the first strike. Is it going to be Punk? Is it going to be Roman? Punk already went below the belt, so we'll see how Roman reacts.
I think it has to be Punk. I'm of the mindset, like, after last night, I loved this is why I felt like Roman won the battle last night. He edged it out because he didn't react. And I love that. Like Samantha, like Irvin, right? She tweeted, she's like, the fact that he let him walk away is even scarier. And that I love that tweet. I was like, you know what? That's true. That's what kind of like sold it for me. It was like, oh, here's this person that doesn't really like but she's still watching the product, which is great. That means she loves wrestling too. But this is such a great point where it's like, wow, like, Roman let him walk away. He didn't say anything. He didn't react. He just kind of like did that, like when they did that stage thing where he was like sitting in his chair and he's just rubbing his head and he's just like, I have to think this through. And I think that is what's made Roman so special, is the fact that he doesn't just react. And also, and I am of the mindset that certain things are special for certain people. And I love the fact that the only person that gets Roman to the point where he has to hit first is Seth.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to kind of keep that for Seth,
Yeah.
which is why I'm like, Punk has to lose it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you know, because I feel like he can go full heel,
Mm-hmm.
and then after he drops the championship, and then he can come out and be a babyface like John Cena did.
Yeah.
Like, everybody's gonna love him because the match is they're gonna kill it.
Yeah.
They're gonna absolutely kill it.
Yeah.
So I don't think it really hurts Punk. I think fans want to boo one guy and cheer another, and I feel like
Punk's comfortable with that too.
That oh yeah, absolutely. He wanted, you know, he wanted to do that with Cody in AEW, but for some reason that company didn't let him do it. It was just interesting. There's a lot of politics, or however the hell it went down over there, but Cody's made like wanting to do things a certain way, and them not really wanting to do that, and then they leave, and then they do things like that, where it's like it's just weird. But yeah, I mean, I think we've exhausted everything we can exhaust about Roman.
Yeah.
I think there's more, and I'm sure if you know, if you want to get together again, we can do that. But why don't, since we bring up AEW, why don't we jump over to AEW? Because I feel like it doesn't get a lot of life. It doesn't get a lot of attention in our space. Besides Johnny and Marissa, they AEW a lot. They're like the AEW people, you know what I mean? So
yeah, it's I try a lot, and it's just like usually I'll post like something after Dynamite, and I'm not sure if you have the same experience, unless it's something like where it's going to get a polarizing reaction, like the John Moxley like nail spot, you know what I mean? Like that got me a lot of traction. But it's like if it's like a story or anything like that, it doesn't really do well like viewership wise. And I'm wondering if it's like AEW's like the niche of a niche, or it's just like something else, because I have been flagged for AEW videos but not WWE videos, which I find interesting.
Yeah, I mean, I used to treat AEW the way I treat Cody, you know, like I used to work TikTok a lot, you know, and I got a lot of traction that way, but every time I give them like love and adoration, like it's almost like that content does not get any attention at all. And it almost feels odd. Like the other day, that video that I posted got like a couple hundred likes, and I was like, the fuck? Like, why does this? Like, I'm talking I don't get views for AEW, and then it's like, oh, now people like it, or like I kind of cut a promo on Max the other day. And then, you know, just like, you know, just hoping that, you know, I just really, because I would love to be trolled by him.
Yeah, honestly, it's like I think I told you this. Like, I met him like when he was like first starting, like legitimately his second match I went to. And I have to say, nice guy, really nice guy. Might have changed since then, but it's like I texted him back and forth at one point, and very nice guy.
Yeah, I mean, he seems like a genuinely like really good, like he says, salt of the earth person. I mean, I watch him and I listen to him, and I do feel like a lot of what he says is to remind people that this is entertainment, and I need to keep up this character, which I love that about him. But I do love when he breaks character a little bit, and he reminds people that like all wrestlers support each other, and they're not trying to like run people out of the business and things like that. So I do really enjoy that. But I'd say right now, I don't know. I don't know if there's another person in AEW besides Hangman Adam Page that he's had a better program with. Like, he had that little program with Cody. He had that program with Wardlow, right? And he kind of have this little feud, this unfinished feud with Darby Allin, and which I'm hoping we get to again in the future. But watching him and Hangman out there, man, it does feel a little bit like Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn, doesn't it? Like, just two guys are meant to battle one another for like the extent of their career. Like, what do you think about what's going on with the two of them?
I do like how the story is Hangman has the upper hand, because it's kind of unheard of with the babyface in this scenario, because it's usually the babyface chasing, but now it's kind of like MJF trying to like get this guy off his back a little bit. And I think the stipulation of Hangman saying I'll never challenge the AEW championship again forever, doing the Cody stipulation, I think it's a good hook. I think it's a good hook for like not only to prevent Hangman from challenging the title for a while, but also you wonder, it's like, okay, you could actually creatively get out of this in a way, whether it's because Hangman said, you have my word, but now we get to find out the gravity if his word is going to keep him from challenging it, or is it going to take something very drastic for him to go back on his word? And then we're going to see how that costs him. And because the Hangman character is a very emotionally driven character. And with MJF, who is also an emotionally driven character who tries to play it off like he is, but again, it's going to get to the surface. Like he'll blow his stack first, but at least you see him utilize every single one of his emotions. With Hangman, he's kind of reserved, I feel like, in his performance, where it's like even when he's yelling or getting very excited, he there's still like that little bit of like that Hangman that will hold a grudge and who doesn't like himself, because that's a big part of the story. Like he doesn't feel like he should be the main character of AEW, and people kind of bestowed that nickname upon him, and he has to kind of live up to that. But at the same time, it kind of just like comes all the way down where he's like, I'm going to fail in this position, which I think is a very intriguing thing for the top babyface of being, having that insecurity. And both these characters are inherently insecure with who they are as people, but with MJF, he fronts it as, confidence, cockiness. And with Hangman, like he will show you he's vulnerable, but he also knows that he is in this position and questioning it. Like he's always fighting with himself whether or not he deserves it. And I think that's such an interesting conflict between not only just characters, but just people in general.
Agreed. Yeah, I really enjoy Hangman's work. I mean, I've said before, I call him like the 5-tool player, which is like a baseball reference, because I feel like he's good at everything. I think he's so good at promos, and yet he's underrated at promo. Like nobody talks about his promos, and he's really good at them. He is a phenomenal professional wrestler. Like he brings, a story. He definitely gets you to feel every single emotion that he's going through. Like when he was going through that, like, depressive state, right? Where like, he was feuding with the Bucks and things like that. Like, man, I felt every bit of that. And I love the fact that for the first time in his time in AEW, like you said, how you said it, like he's a smart babyface. And I thought that was such a great like video as well. Cause I was like, oh my God, this is so right. Like, it's almost like he knows how to beat Max. And I think that this works really well because there's been a lot of reference to like Batman and Joker, but this is the best version of that in professional wrestling that I've ever seen, where it is like Batman always beats Joker, and this works. And I don't know if he becomes a 3-time champ. I don't know if Max continues to do but I love the idea of them too, just like continuing their feud and things like that. But I will say, as someone who really enjoys the fact that I don't know how Hangman Adam Page has been able to develop 2 just beautiful stories with 2 different wrestlers, the idea of him to challenge for the world title again, and then the potential of Swerve winning the world championship and knowing that Hangman can never challenge kind of makes me feel like Swerve might cost him the match. Like that's the ace in the hole that nobody talking about, because this heel turn has changed like a lot of the dynamic in the business, because Swerve was a very popular heel, like a babyface, like whose house, Swerve's house. And now I think that's gone. Now we have a guy that he's out for himself again. He wants to be the top. He wants to be even above Max, but does he help Max because now he's overcome an obstacle, or he never has to face this obstacle again? You know what I mean? Like, do we get there? What do you think about the inclusion or the potential of Swerve costing Page the match?
I do like that option. I really do, because with Swerve, when he was doing his promo last week, like Hangman said to him, "Do you regret all the things that you've done?" And Swerve said yes. But then he said, looking back on it, like that was my most successful period. So I'm going to live my life without any regrets. So like one thing is to cost like this guy who I went to war with, preventing him from getting the championship once again makes my pathway a lot more easy, it makes it a lot easier.
Yeah.
And that's something to keep in mind as well. I strongly believe MJF is going to retain, just because like it feels like his title reign just started. You know what I mean? Like we're still very early on. And also, this is just a side tangent, but like with the Grand Slam Mexico, I think going to be happening in June, and they're teasing MJF and Andrade, and I'm just like, I'm looking at that. I'm just like, that would be perfect for Andrade to be in that babyface position. But back to the Swerve and Hangman of it all, like it's one of those things. I think Swerve put like the Austin Rock photo on his like timeline, and he got a lot of grief for it because they're saying, "Oh, you guys think you're bigger than Austin Rock," but it's not like that. It's about being intertwined with somebody by fate and just like this rivalry, this bond that's never ending.
Agreed.
And with Swerve, it's like, how can I get away from this? I know, get him away, get that out of there, and then he just kind of go on from there. And I think having Hangman, still has the 6-man tag titles, but it's like he's putting up this front that he's a part of Jet Set Rodeo, and this is giving him fulfillment, when in actuality, it's just kind of like, like, what am I doing? I'm just kind of spinning my wheels. And then it becomes whether or not he goes for the titles again.
Yeah. I love all of their storytelling that they have going on right now. And I feel like a lot of people have forgotten that like AEW does give you storytelling, and people just don't see it. There's like different things, like, you have Tony Storm's story over like the course of a couple of years, and the rise of Mariah May, and then you have like Mercedes was giving you a story the entire time, and nobody was paying attention to it. Like everybody thought like, oh, she's just like going out there winning every championship because she hates losing, and it's like, no, she's this so you can watch the rise, you can watch the fall, and then you can watch her overcome and finally win the big one. And that works really well for her. Like this company has some great moments, and it's unfortunate that fans would rather trash this company as opposed to giving it a chance. Like I'll tell you, I have some like people that I'm in this wrestling group with. We like have this IG chat, and they're all like big proponents that like he's not worth their time. And I told them, like, one day I was like, when I turned the page on AEW, because I loved the first 2.5 years, I thought it was like just phenomenal. And then I felt like they really tried a lot to be too much like WWE instead of just what they were good at. And I felt like when I turned the corners, when I started looking at them for what they are, and I don't think it's disrespectful at all. I think it's actually a great way to look at it. They are an indie wrestling promotion with a TV deal. And if you look at that way, you won't look at them thinking like, but WWE does this, because you never expect indie promotions to do what WWE does. You love indie for what it gives you. And I do feel like it opens your mind, and it just like opens you up, like your imagination, and you get the actual product, right? Like the whole reason for them doing like a while back, somebody called out Sammy Guevara for jumping off a ladder on a Wednesday night. And it was like, the reason they do that is because that's their indie show for the week. They do that all the time. Like, I remember going to a Jersey All Pro show, and like back-to-back Fridays, like they were at Charity Hall, and the week before, Trent Acid did this like crazy ass spot off a ladder, and then he did it again the following week, and it was like, I was young, I was enjoying Trent Acid, like, got, and I was enjoying him, thinking like, this guy's phenomenal, he's so great. And then I could never imagine myself growing up and thinking like like The Undertaker, like, oh, you do all the special in every single match. It doesn't make you special anymore. It does when you're in that style of professional wrestling. It still keeps you special, which is what makes the Bucks special. They're just rules, you know.
Yeah, and the thing with AEW is like, are there things that I like and dislike? Yeah, same thing with WWE, same thing with TNA, same thing with. The thing is, it's like you're allowed to have preferences, and because wrestling is a variety show, it's an ensemble show. It's like if I watch SNL, I'm not gonna think every skit is gonna hit, you know. Like you're gonna take things that you enjoy about it, because what I like about AEW is like I'm gonna get some strong style, I'm gonna get some lucha, I'm gonna get some British strong style too. You know, you might get like some like people out of their comfort zone. Like a lot of WWE signings that would sign to AEW, I'd be curious because I'm like, okay, they're not doing the WWE style. How do they adapt to AEW if they can? And the thing is, it's like you need to give wrestling fans options. And because when I got into wrestling, it was just Raw, SmackDown, maybe Velocity and Heat. You know, those were the wrestling shows on television. And then, oh, wow, TNA's here. Oh, wow, Ring of Honor's on HDNet. Cool. And then you just kind of like try to find different wrestling all you can. And then you go to FYE Video, you see all like the best of Ring of Honor DVDs. You know what I mean? It's like you get in that. It's like, oh, the World Cup from TNA. Oh, let's get that. And then you just kind of dive in. And then with AEW, it came at the absolute right point. And it's so cool to see it, like, one, thrive, and two, the people who are just wishing on its downfall, it's just like, why? You know, it's like, if just because it's like I watched Arrow and Flash, I didn't need to watch Legend of Tomorrow, but it's like I'll still like, you know, like watch Arrow.
I watched that show specifically for Sarah.
Yeah, Sarah is great character arc too. But yeah, it's just like I didn't need to watch Supergirl, you know, but it's just like, again, just because it's like it's there, but it's like people having options. It's always good to have options here. And with just AEW, just like like, are there things that like kind of grind my gears? Yes, but it's like I'm not going to let it affect my enjoyment or other people's enjoyment. And I think that's another thing where people, like, let's say it's like you and I, we have a opinion, we agree to disagree or disagree. Like, again, that's perfectly fine. But some people are like, oh, you don't like everything about this. It's like, yeah, that's perfectly fine. You know, it's just like everyone needs to take a deep breath in, because wrestling is just supposed to be for everybody. And that's what I feel like AEW gives the opportunity to introduce people to another side of wrestling.
Yeah, for me, what it's done is it's given me joy for things that I thought I would never get again. Like, I am a big fan of Saraya. I love watching her. I love watching her in WWE. I felt like to this day, everybody gives credit to the everybody gives credit to the Four Horsewomen. I have been on this hill screaming it like I do about Charlotte versus Rhea at WrestleMania 39. Paige and Emma started the Divas Revolution. They start that match in NXT. Whenever anybody talks about something, they talk about that. This is what could happen if we get 20 minutes. Like, I remember that being an actual quote. Like, women watched that match and they were like, what the hell? Like, these girls got 20 minutes to go. What could happen if we did that? Like, they gave me that. And like, being someone at 18 years old, meeting Bryan Danielson, you know, like not even knowing he existed, and then watching him come in to face Loki in a tap out match, like 10 feet in front, was just like, oh my God, now I get to watch the end of Bryan's career the way he wants to end it. Right? Like, him doing things he wanted to do, because he always said WWE's a parody on wrestling, right? Yeah. Like, they're like the scary movie of the horror movie franchise, right? And obviously, like, Sting is my GOAT. So getting to watch him, and then, you know, actually the anniversary was yesterday of me driving to South Carolina to watch him. You know, that's a big deal, getting to take my son. He still made it to school the next day, by the way. From South Carolina.
That's some good parenting.
Still made it. Yeah. Yeah. But I don't know, man. Like, they were able to give it, and I feel like wrestling fans forget that. Like, for those guys that I just mentioned, for Paige, you know, for Bryan, for Sting, there's a lot of people out there that feel that way. Christian. There's a lot of people that feel that way about Edge, right? Like about Sasha, about Mercedes, right? Where they're like, we want to watch them do what they want to do, right? Like I think back to it all the time. Like Triple H talks like the way Rock references him on Rock. I do kind of feel like that's how he views him. Like this guy was just selfish. He was all for himself. And whenever you'd call him on something in front of the audience, he'd get mad at you. Or like, I feel like that's a lot of it. And I always think about that promo that Triple H cut on Edge. Like the little experiment of the Rated R Superstar didn't, you know, it was a failure because he didn't draw a dime. And I'm just like, yeah, what if he went back? Like, is he going to be used right?
Yeah, it's one of those things where it's like, it seems to be like the long blonde-haired guys that Triple H had a problem with, if you think about it. Like Edge, Jericho, Test.
Yeah, I do wonder about Jericho. Like, I worry about Jericho. Like, dude, are you really going to go back to the guy where, like, you actually wrote a chapter on in your fucking book? Like, that's weird.
No.
Like, you talked about your feud.
Like, when that first started going, I'm very morbidly curious on, like, how they would, like, work together. You know, because Triple H wanted to squash the whole entire Festival of Friendship thing, where it's like, nah, like Owens is just gonna come out and attack you. That was gonna be the end of it. And Chris had to like call Vince in order to be like, no, we're doing it my way. And then Triple H is like, yeah, you're right. And it's like, I'm sure now it's like they're cool, but you know, there's always gonna be like this like you know, when you have like a rivalry with someone, there's always gonna be like a hint of like, yeah, we're still doing this a little bit. You know, it might not be a lot, but it's like it's still there until like they retire.
Yeah. I mean, I honestly, I don't know what else Jericho can possibly give to the business. I feel like he's one of those guys who's accomplished everything. Like, what are you going to come back and win a Royal Rumble?
Nah, got to lose the Gunther, man. That's what you got to do.
Oh yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, I could see that happening. Or you know. I could also see him turning out to be like the next Paul Heyman, because there's not a lot of guys out there that can cut promos like Jericho can. You know, like he doesn't need to necessarily be the worker. He could just go out. He could be like the next big, like, you know, he could be like Cyrus the Virus, or he could be like Paul Heyman, where he just takes a crop of guys that he feels are underutilized and he makes them.
I thought he was like if he was actually free, because, you know, it was talked about that his contract was up for in December. I was going to be like, hey, just add him to the division, you know, just have him like a pseudo like manager, like somewhat wrestler kind of guy.
Yeah.
Like kind of like, because we haven't seen Chris Jericho and Paul Heyman work together in like a pairing. You know what I mean? Yeah. I think that interaction would be pretty interesting.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I do. The one thing that I admire most about Jericho's his ability to talk is, if you look at every interaction that MJF has had with everybody, Jericho's the one guy he hasn't really like been able to burn. Like he definitely had his moments against Punk, and Punk had his moments. Like I still think that the less famous Miz line is still the best line of that entire feud. Yeah. He didn't have that with Jericho, and I wonder if like do people really forget how good Jericho is on the stick?
I think they do, because like the big thing was I think around the Jericho Appreciation Society to the Learning Tree kind of thing, because you know the Jericho Vortex was a popular thing. You know, it's like you feud with Jericho and then you're off doing nothing for the next couple of months. But again, that's kind of like on the writing team as well, because it's like you want to position the person going up there. And with Jericho and MJF, the one like promo, and they did this a couple of times where I'm just like, oh, this is money. Where it's like, do you want me to join the Inner Circle, Chris? Do you want to join the Inner Circle, Mac? You know, it's like that kind of like, you know, that like pairing and just kind of volleying back and forth with each other. And you could tell chemistry from that. And with Jericho, he's one of those chameleons who can like have chemistry with anybody. It's kind of like with Kurt, like Kurt AJ, it was more of an in-ring sense. With Jericho, it's more of a talking sense. It's like he could bring out the best out of anybody he's working against. And I think that's the biggest pro of Jericho, is he is able to like, he's one of the few talents that could like get that like likability and charisma out of you. And
yeah, I mean, he completely he won every promo battle he had against Punk
Mhm.
when Punk was when he was absent, and he came back and
Mhm.
they officially feuded. Like
Yeah.
even when Punk was WWE champ, I felt like Punk never overcame the Jericho.
Mhm.
Like it just felt like Jericho won all of their promos. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
he's just special in that sense.
Yeah, I think Punk had one good line with Jericho, with saying it's like he's like, I've been here swimming with the sharks while you were dancing with stars. You know, like
Yeah.
that was probably the line I remember the most of that feud. And then it just kind of transitioned to Jericho talking about, you know, personal things with family digs.
Mhm.
And that's where it's kind of like looking at now Punk's in that Jericho seat in his feud with Roman, which I find pretty funny, like a big full circle moment.
Yeah, yeah. It's really good. Yeah. I mean, honestly, man, I'm really looking forward to WrestleMania season. I think WrestleMania is just gonna I'm wondering if Osprey will make it to, Wembley this year.
Mhm.
Like what do you think he'll make it? It does feel like
Yeah,
it does feel like an outside chance. I wonder just
Mhm.
how bad his injury was.
Yeah, they're doing a lot of promo videos for him each week. They're doing promo videos saying it's like, hey,
Mhm.
he's still here. He's still here. I
Yeah, I
know
think they don't want to
yeah,
forget about
yeah,
him.
with All In, it's a month back because I think they had to book it forward last year, but
Mhm.
it's back in there. So he can make I could see him return possibly a Double or Nothing.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's good. I That's kind of the reason why I feel like MJF holds the title for a while
Yeah.
because I think that's the intention is getting it to him. And another thing that I love so much is before we go
Mhm.
wrap things up, since we're talking Osprey here, and we did allude to this earlier, is if Hangman loses
Yeah.
this match and he can't challenge, Osprey being the guy who forces Hangman to wrestle because that's the one guy he can't beat. You
Mhm.
know what I mean? Like it's
Yeah.
another story, another layer because
Mhm.
it does like I mean Osprey even said it before their last match. He's like, I haven't beat this guy yet. And
Mhm.
then he wrestled him again and then he didn't beat him. It was
Yeah.
like,
Mhm.
hey, like and it does feel like a little bit of politics played into their story, but in a good way, not in a
Yeah.
bad
Yeah.
way where like they were
Yeah.
both lobbying for the other guy to win, right?
Yeah.
But I
Yeah.
think the right person won because of look what the story can lead into,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah, and I think that's when like Osprey told Tony, he's like, "Look, my neck is not good. You know, it's like you gotta
Yeah,
put it on Hangman at this point." But again, what I
yeah,
like about the AEW title picture is like there's so many challengers and so many stories because of those
hmm
challengers. You know, you have Swerve, you have Kenny. Like if Osprey's good, I think Kenny's like the backup choice, and you do that
hmm
same story with Kenny and Hangman. But it's like then like
hmm
Hangman like whatever turns or wins or whatever, and then you have Osprey take it off. Hangman. You know, it's like there's so many different scenarios and so many different stories that like for like not the first time, but wrestling is such in a healthy place, and I wish other people can see that.
yeah. I agree, and I think one of the things that I want to say before we wrap up here is I feel like one of the guys that gets the most hate in the business. I don't think people realize how much he loves the business
Hmm.
and how much he's willing to sacrifice for the business, and that is John Moxley.
Hmm.
I just feel like people have just latched onto this like I don't know where it came from. This whole like he's a plumber out there wrestling. Like I don't know why he gets called that
Uh,
in a reference.
yeah, I
And
think it was a Cornet
I just
line.
think um
Yeah.
yeah, but I just watch what he did. Like he really did like him and the Death Riders, they fixed a lot
Mhm.
of issues in AEW. It's like he set out to make a lot of things better. And I think a underlying reason as to why it worked so well is because of the way he beat Brian, because he just like, got him out of the business.
Mhm.
The guy that he loves, the guy that he has said on multiple occasions he thinks is the greatest ever,
Mhm.
right? Like that's the guy that put Mox over, like,
Mhm.
and he did it in such a, shocking way
Mhm.
that that it actually like kicked off everything because it people hate Mox, which is what was needed. Right. And now we're watching him go out there and just be spectacular. And as much as I would love to see him and Roman in the ring again, or see him and Seth in the ring again, or them three, feuding in the future with like Oba, Trick, I would love that. The Shield versus those guys. Like, I'm happy that he's at where he's at, because I just don't know if he would ever go. I don't know if he has it in him to be able to go to somebody like Triple H. I just don't know. Like, maybe if Brian Gord's take over in a year, which is like, I know the hot rumor.
Yeah.
Maybe he would go back, but I do like that idea as well, because I don't think it would just be Rocky and Brian Gortz. I think they'll be bringing in guys from Hollywood to help write stories, which I think would be different.
Yeah, it would be cool to see Mox in like a now WWE setting, but I think he's more important to where he is now, and I think he loves the craft of wrestling so much that it's just like, I think that love is going to be hard to let go if he was in that part. And like I like Moxley. I wasn't so crazy about the Death Riders, just because I felt like there was a lot of potential there. It's like, you had Daniel Garcia stepping up, Private Party stepping up, and now a year later Garcia joins them. Private Party was out for a year, where it's just like, I'm like, man, it's like, it's kind of like, in a good way, kind of weeded out everything. And now, like, with the Death Riders not having a stranglehold on the show itself, I think they work best in small doses. And I really do love a lot of work that, Claudio's put in the best work of his career. You have like Yuta finding himself. You have Marina who's finding herself. And you have Pac, who's just a beast too, and it's just like, it's really cool that it's like everyone's finding their own like niche at the same time with this Death Rider. And it just kind of shows like it sometimes, like, things take time. Like, people are saying, it's like, oh, the Vision, burn it. It's like, maybe there might be a surprise. Maybe there's not. Maybe it is a failure. But you still got to have it have the chance to fail. And that's what I say anything with wrestling, where people are like, oh, they shouldn't have done that segment. I'm like, look, anytime on television, it's the chance to fail. It's either going to work or it's not going to work. And you just learn from it. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I love that. I feel like that's the perfect place to wrap up. That's the ribbon right there, man. I really appreciate it. I think that's beautiful. Like I said before, like I said in the beginning, when I put you over, I just wanted to say, like, I love the way you view the business. I love the way your mind is open to it, the way you take this like professor approach to it. It works really well. I don't know if that's your intention. That's the way it comes off, and it does come off really well. I do share a lot of your videos, like people that I know, and I'm just like, man, look at the way this guy views the business. It's just so good. And I just think it's really cool to have you a part of this like whole community, because I think you're one of the guys that can definitely, like, hopefully you get the opportunity to one day be like a Sam Roberts.
Yeah. Thank you.
Sorry, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I appreciate that, man. Is there anything you want to plug before you go?
At Retold Richie Mars on YouTube, TikTok, and Instagram, videos every day. Let's see, Wrestling Retold and Relived with Richie Mars on Spotify, YouTube, and Apple Podcasts. That's the podcast I'll release periodically, where the concept is the guests, they will choose the topic, I'll do research on it, and then we just go back and forth for about an hour. Next week, the next episode is going to premiere next week. It's going over Kurt Angle versus The Undertaker, No Way Out 2006, the best WrestleMania match that wasn't at WrestleMania. And we're just going to go with there. And I do some stuff with North-South Wrestling Connection, and I'm part of their Chronoso podcast, where we're going year by year of classic WWF. We're in 1991 right now, and we're going back to 1984 for a little bit, and then we're going to be solely on progressing through 91. I believe the next match I'm working is, I think, the Rockers and Hart Foundation. If not, it's something involving them. But yeah, Macho, thank you so much for letting me be a part of this awesome discussion on wrestling and just the road to WrestleMania. Again, really admire you. Really love how you're just like progressing and everything like that. It's really cool to see.
Yeah, man, I appreciate you very much, man. Thank you so much for being on here, and hopefully, we can get you on again and we can tackle some of that. I wouldn't be opposed to joining your wrestling.
Yeah.
conversation too. So that'd be pretty cool, you know?
Yeah, absolutely, man. Open invite.
Yeah, man. All right, man. Appreciate you so much, guys. Thank you so much. And we're out.
Yeah.